The grand halls of the Galactic Empire's High Council chamber buzzed with unusual activity. Towering screens displayed images of a blue-green planet, while council members with their shimmering robes moved about with growing concern. It was meant to be a routine system survey, but what they found was anything but routine. Tom, a junior analyst with just 5 years of service, stood nervously before the council. His simple gray uniform marked him as a lower-ranking official, but his eyes showed fierce intelligence. He had spent the last 3 months studying the newly discovered species called humans, and what he found kept him awake at night. "High Council members," Tom began, his voice steadied despite his nerves. "The planet Earth shows signs of rapid technological advancement that we've never seen before. They went from horse-drawn carriages to space exploration in just over a century." Laughter echoed through the chamber. Council leader Robert, his golden robes reflecting the chamber's lights, waved his hand dismissively. "Many species advance quickly once they discover basic science. What makes these humans special?" Tom touched his datapad, and new images filled the screens. They showed tanks, planes, and warships. "These humans spend more resources on warfare than any species we've encountered. They've had 2 global wars in just 30 years. Their weapons evolve faster than their medical technology." "Primitives fighting primitives," sneered Council member William. "They'll destroy themselves before reaching the stars." But Council member James, the oldest among them with silver hair and deep lines on his face, leaned forward. "Show me their recovery rate after these wars," he commanded. Tom quickly displayed graphs and charts. "That's the remarkable part, sir. After each major war, they rebuild faster than before. They turn weapons technology into civilian use. They adapt and improve at an unprecedented rate. The data showed cities rebuilt from ashes in years rather than decades. Weapons factories converted to produce vehicles and household goods. Enemy nations becoming trading partners." "Most interesting," James muttered, stroking his chin. "And how do they treat newly discovered technologies?" Tom's next images showed humans reverse engineering their own captured weapons, improving them, and deploying better versions within months. "They don't just copy technology, sir. They understand it, improve it, and find new uses for it." Robert stood up, his patience wearing thin. "Enough. They're still a level 2 civilization. They haven't even colonized their own moon permanently. The Empire has conquered thousands of worlds more advanced than Earth." "But sir," Tom persisted, "their entertainment media consistently shows them defeating more advanced alien invaders. They've been preparing for us without even knowing we exist. They—" Silence. Robert's voice boomed through the chamber. "Your warning is noted, analyst, but the Empire needs Earth's location for our expansion. Their resource-rich system cannot be ignored." James rose slowly, his voice calm but firm. "Perhaps we should observe them longer. There's something about their pattern of advancement that troubles me. No species should be able to adapt so quickly to new threats." Robert turned to the full council. "All in favor of proceeding with standard first contact and conquest protocols?" Most hands rose quickly. The vote was decisive. "Very well," Robert announced. "We will send a diplomatic vessel to their orbit. They will be given our standard terms: submit to the Empire or face destruction. Like thousands of worlds before them, they will choose submission." As the council members filed out, James stopped beside Tom. "Good work, young man," he said quietly. "Keep watching these humans. I fear my colleagues have just made a terrible mistake." Tom nodded, clutching his datavat. On the screens behind them, Earth continued its slow spin, its people unaware that they would soon face their greatest challenge and teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. That evening, Tom added one final note to his report. "The Empire has conquered many worlds, but they've never faced humans before. We don't just fight wars. We revolutionize warfare itself with each conflict. The Council sees a primitive species, but I see something else. I see the Empire's greatest nightmare." The report was filed away, its warning unheeded. In the vast darkness of space, Earth's lights twinkled, its people going about their lives, unaware that they would soon show the galaxy why humanity had survived every crisis it had ever faced, and why the Empire should have listened to a junior analyst's warning. The massive Imperial ship appeared over New York City on a quiet Sunday morning. Its dark metal hull stretched 3 miles long, blocking the sun and casting a shadow that chilled everyone beneath. Within hours, similar ships appeared over every major city on Earth. In the United Nations Emergency Chamber, world leaders gathered in unprecedented unity. The room was tense, filled with the urgent whispers of politicians and military commanders. On the main screen, the alien message played again. People of Earth, we are the Galactic Empire. Your world has been chosen to join our civilization. Submit to our rule within 24 hours, or face immediate destruction. This is not a negotiation. General Peters stood before the assembly, his face grim. Their ships have energy shields we can't penetrate. Our best missiles would be useless. But they haven't attacked yet, noted the Chinese president. They're waiting for our answer. The U.S. president leaned forward. They expect us to surrender. Every other world probably did, but we're not every other world. In orbit, aboard the Imperial command ship, Captain Mark watched Earth's cities with growing impatience. These humans are taking longer than usual to submit, he told his crew. Prepare the demonstration weapon. We'll destroy one small city to show them we're serious. But before he could act, a response came from Earth. The human transmission was played through the ship's speakers. To the Galactic Empire, humanity declines your offer. We suggest you leave our solar system immediately. We will defend our home. Laughter erupted on the bridge. They can't be serious, Mark said, smiling. Their primitive weapons can't even scratch our ships. Begin the attack. Show them the price of defiance. The first plasma blast was aimed at downtown Manhattan. But as it descended, something unexpected happened. The humans had anticipated the attack pattern. Thousands of small drones, hidden in buildings, launched simultaneously. They couldn't damage the Imperial ships, but they created enough interference to scatter the plasma beam. The blast hit the ocean instead of the city. Mark's smile vanished. Impossible. They couldn't have known where we'd strike first. Sir, his sensor officer called out, we're detecting launches from multiple locations. The humans are using their entire nuclear arsenal, but they've modified the warhead somehow. The nuclear missiles that rose toward the Imperial ships had been changed. Human engineers had worked through the night, adjusting their weapons based on scans of the alien ships. They didn't try to break through the shields. They detonated just outside them, creating electromagnetic pulses that the Empire had never thought to defend against. 3 Imperial ships lost power and fell from the sky. In the UN chamber, a cheer went up as the first ships crashed. General Peter grabbed his phone. Launch Phase 2. All units, execute Operation Trojan Horse. Teams of soldiers and engineers rushed toward the crashed ships. The Empire expected the humans to run from their superior technology. Instead, they swarmed over it like ants, stripping away panels, studying systems, and already beginning to understand how they worked. Captain Mark watched in horror as reports came in. They're not running. Why aren't they running? And how are they adapting so quickly? In his command center, General Peters smiled as the first technical reports arrived. Their shields only block high-energy weapons, he announced to his staff. They never thought anyone would try physical projectiles. Get our railgun prototypes ready. The Empire's standard conquest plan was falling apart. They had expected Earth's governments to fight each other, to crumble in fear. Instead, humanity had united. Scientists from different countries shared data instantly. Soldiers who had once been enemies fought side by side. As the sun set on the first day of war, the Empire had lost 5 ships. Humans had captured 2 mostly intact. Earth's casualties were high, but their spirits were higher. In orbit, Captain Mark sent an urgent message to the Imperial capital. First attack repelled. Humans showing unprecedented adaptation and resistance. Request immediate reinforcements. These creatures, they're not like the others. They don't know they're supposed to lose. Down on Earth, in a hastily assembled war room, General Peter looked at the alien technology spread across tables. Engineers were already drawing up plans to mass-produce their own versions. Send word to all commands, he ordered. The real fight starts tomorrow. And we're going to show these aliens why humanity never learned to surrender. 1 week into the war, the Empire's commanders gathered in an emergency meeting aboard their new flagship in Earth's orbit. The holographic displays showed a troubling sight. 7 more Imperial ships lost, hundreds of fighters destroyed, and humans advancing faster than anyone thought possible. Commander Jack, newly arrived with reinforcements, slammed his fist on the table. How are they doing this? They were supposed to be primitives. The tactical officer pulled up footage from their latest defeat. On the screen, human fighters darted between Imperial ships, using modified versions of the Empire's own weapons. But they were smaller, faster, and hitting harder than they should. Sir, look at this, the officer pointed. They've taken our plasma cannons and made them better. They're using less energy, but getting more power. They found a flaw in the design we never noticed. In a hidden underground base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Mary and her team of engineers worked tirelessly. Scattered across their lab were pieces of alien technology mixed with human computers. Sparks flew as they tested new combinations, finding ways to merge the two technologies. Their systems are actually quite simple, Mary explained to General Peter during his inspection. They got lazy. They've been the strongest for so long. They stopped innovating. But we found ways to improve almost everything we've captured. She held up what looked like a normal human rifle, but with alien components grafted onto it. This can punch through their armor now, and we can mass-produce them in our existing factories. The general picked up the weapon, smiling. How long until we can arm our troops? Production starts tomorrow. And sir, Mary added with a grin, wait until you see what we did with their communication systems. Back on the Imperial flagship, alarms suddenly blared. Their screens flickered, and strange symbols appeared. Human numbers and letters, scrolling across every display. We're being hacked, an officer shouted. But that's impossible. Our neural networks are organic. They can't be. Before he could finish, half their systems went dark. In that moment, human ships appeared from behind Earth's moon, attacking with precise coordination. They knew exactly where the Imperial shields were weakest. Commander Jack watched in horror as 3 more Imperial ships fell to the human attack. Fall back, he ordered. Retreat to the outer system. But the humans had planned for this too. Hidden missiles launched from Earth's surface, their warheads carrying a surprise. Instead of explosives, they released thousands of tiny robots, human-made machines that attached to Imperial ships and began drilling through their hulls. Sir, an officer reported to General Peter, Operation Virus is working. Our nanobots are inside their ships. We can track them anywhere in the solar system now. The general nodded. Send in the ground teams. Take those ships intact if you can. We need every piece of their technology we can get. The Empire had never faced an enemy like this. Humans didn't just fight. They learned, adapted, and improved with every battle. Their smaller, weaker ships were now destroying Imperial vessels through superior tactics and modified technology. In his private quarters, Commander Jack recorded a message to the Imperial capital. The humans are unlike anything we've encountered. They take our weapons and make them better. They find weaknesses we didn't know existed. And they never stop. They never surrender. Every defeat makes them stronger. He paused, looking at the latest battle reports. We've lost 23 ships in just 1 week. At this rate, he couldn't finish the sentence. On Earth, humanity celebrated their latest victory, but they weren't getting overconfident. In laboratories and factories around the world, work continued day and night. Engineers studied every piece of captured technology. Soldiers trained with new weapons. Scientists shared discoveries instantly across the globe. Mary stood in her lab, looking at their latest creation, a fusion of human AI and imperial neural networks. "Send word to command," she told her assistant. "Tell them Phase 3 is ready. We can now hack every imperial ship in the system." The Empire had made a terrible mistake. They thought they were attacking a primitive world. Instead, they had awakened humanity's greatest strength, our ability to learn from our enemies and turn their own power against them. As Earth's new fleet prepared for their next attack, one thing became clear: the Empire wasn't fighting a simple war of conquest anymore. They were fighting for their survival, against an enemy that grew stronger with each passing day. 3 weeks into the war, Earth launched its boldest attack yet. The captured and modified Imperial ships, now painted in Earth's united colors, moved silently through space. Behind them came thousands of smaller human vessels, each carrying weapons that didn't exist just weeks ago. In her control center, Mary watched the fleet's progress on a massive screen. Her latest creation, a virus that could jump between imperial neural networks, was about to be tested on a massive scale. "All ships, begin Operation Ghost," she commanded. The human fleet approached the Empire's main battle group near Mars. Commander Jack of the Empire noticed them too late. "How did they get so close without our sensors seeing them?" he demanded. His answer came as their systems began to fail. Mary's virus spread from ship to ship, using the Empire's own communication networks against them. Warning lights flashed across Imperial bridges as their advanced technology turned against them. "Sir," an Imperial officer shouted, "we're losing control of everything. The humans, they're not just copying our technology anymore. They're making it do things it was never meant to do." The human attack began. But this wasn't the chaotic warfare the Empire expected from a young species. This was something new. The smaller human ships moved in perfect formation, using tactics the Empire had never seen before. General Peter stood on his bridge, watching his plan unfold. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered. "Show them what humanity can really do." The human ships split into smaller groups. Some fired traditional weapons, while others launched what looked like small metal boxes. The Empire ignored these boxes, focusing on the main attack. This was exactly what humanity wanted. These boxes were Mary's other new weapon. When they reached the Imperial ships, they transformed into swarms of micro-robots. These tiny machines began eating through the Imperial hulls, converting the metal into more of themselves. Impossible. Commander Jack watched in horror as his fleet began to literally dissolve. "These humans, they've turned our own metal against us." But humanity wasn't done. The next wave of attacks came from modified Imperial weapons, but with a human twist. Instead of just firing energy beams, they created complex patterns that overloaded the Imperial shields in ways their designers never imagined possible. In her lab, Mary received the battle data with excitement. "It's working even better than we hoped," she told her team. "Their ships can't handle weapons that change patterns mid-shot. They never thought anyone would think to do that." The Imperial fleet was in chaos. Their mighty ships, once the terror of the galaxy, were being taken apart by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive just weeks ago. Human forces breached their largest vessels, capturing them rather than destroying them. On Earth, factories worked at full speed, turning out new weapons and ships that combined the best of both human and Imperial technology. But they did more than just copy. They improved everything they touched. "Look at this." Mary showed General Peter a captured Imperial engine. "They've been using the same design for 300 years. We've already made it 40% more efficient." They stopped innovating because no one ever challenged them. That was their biggest mistake. The battle near Mars ended with humanity's biggest victory yet. 30 Imperial ships captured, 15 destroyed, and the rest retreating in disorder. But more importantly, Earth now had access to the Empire's main military database. "Sir," Mary called the general excitedly, "you need to see this. Their entire military runs on synchronized networks. Now that we're in their system," she smiled, "we can predict where they'll be before they even get there." The Empire's remaining commanders gathered for an emergency meeting. The holographic displays showed their losses, but more worryingly, they showed how fast humans were advancing. In 3 weeks, one officer reported, "They've gone from barely space-capable to matching our best technology. And they're still improving. Every day they get stronger, while we—" Commander Jack finished the thought, "while we realize how much we've forgotten, how comfortable we became, how lazy." On Earth, humanity prepared for their next move. They weren't just fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting to win. And as Mary's team made breakthrough after breakthrough, one thing became clear. The Empire had awakened a sleeping giant, one that learned and adapted faster than any species they'd ever encountered. The Empire had started this war expecting an easy victory. Instead, they had given humanity access to advanced technology, and humanity had shown them what real innovation looked like. The Imperial Palace on their home world shook with angry voices. News of the defeats against Earth had finally reached the Empire's core worlds, and the results were explosive. The Grand Council chamber, usually a place of order and ceremony, had turned into a scene of chaos. High Council leader Robert faced the angry council members, his golden robes no longer looking as impressive as before. "How could this happen?" Council members shouted. 30 ships lost to primitives. James, the older council member who had first warned them about humans, stood calmly. "I tried to tell you. Humans don't think like other species. They don't follow the rules of normal warfare." On one of the Empire's major colony worlds, a group of enslaved aliens watched recordings of human victories smuggled from Earth. They saw smaller human ships destroying Imperial vessels. They watched humans improve Imperial technology in ways no one had thought possible. "If humans can fight back," one slave whispered, "maybe we can too." The whispers spread through slave quarters, through mining colonies, through all the worlds the Empire had conquered over centuries. Humans were showing the galaxy something new. The Empire could be beaten. Back in the council chamber, a younger council member named David rushed in with alarming news. "We have reports of riots on 12 worlds. The slave species, they're all rising up." Robert's face turned pale. "Impossible. They've been under our control for generations." "What changed?" "They're copying Earth's weapons," David explained. "The humans are releasing all their technological discoveries on open channels. Anyone can access them. And," he hesitated, "some of our own people are helping them." It was true. Younger members of the Empire had seen humanity's rapid progress and started questioning their own society. They saw how humans shared knowledge, how they worked together, how fast they improved. Some began secretly sending information to Earth. In her lab on Earth, Mary received another transmission from Empire scientists. "General," she called Peter excitedly, "more Imperial engineers have switched sides. They're sending us everything they know about their best weapons." The general smiled. This was better than they had hoped. The Empire wasn't just losing a war, it was losing control of its own people. On the Empire's capital world, the crisis grew worse. Reports came in every hour. More riots, more rebellions, more Imperial ships being destroyed. The Empire had spent centuries building their power, and now it was falling apart in weeks. James addressed the council again. "We face a choice. We can either change, or we will fall. Humans have shown us our weakness. We stopped growing, stopped improving, became too confident in our power. Then we'll send everything we have." Robert shouted. "We'll destroy Earth completely." "It's too late," David said quietly. "Look at these reports. Humans have already spread their knowledge to 100 worlds. Even if we destroy Earth tomorrow, we can't stop what they've started." In a distant Imperial shipyard, slaves suddenly rose up, using modified human weapons. They captured 30 new Imperial ships before anyone could stop them. The broadcasts from Earth had taught them how to fly them. The Empire's military commanders met in emergency session. The holographic displays showed their territory shrinking as more worlds rebelled. Centuries of conquest were unraveling in days. These humans, one commander said, they didn't just beat us with weapons. They beat us with ideas. They showed everyone that change is possible. Back on Earth, Mary and her team watched as their influence spread across the galaxy. "We never wanted their empire," she told General Peter. "We just wanted to defend ourselves. But we've given hope to every species they enslaved." The Empire's council split into two groups. The Old Guard, led by Robert, wanted to fight to the end. The younger members, seeing the future more clearly, began secret peace talks with Earth. James watched it all with sad wisdom. "We thought we were the greatest power in the galaxy," he told the council. "But we forgot the most important power, the power to change, to improve, to grow. Humans reminded us of that. Now we must decide, do we learn from them, or do we fall?" As the Empire's internal crisis deepened, Earth prepared for what they hoped would be the final phase of the war. But now they weren't just fighting for themselves. They had become a symbol of hope for every oppressed species in the galaxy. The Empire had wanted to conquer Earth. Instead, they had shown the galaxy that even the mightiest empire could be challenged. And that change was not only possible, but necessary. The combined fleet of Earth and liberated worlds gathered at the edge of the Empire's home system. 5,000 ships, most of them former Imperial vessels now modified with human innovations, prepared for the final battle. At their center was Earth's new flagship, Unity, commanded by General Peter himself. "All ships report ready," his communications officer announced. "The rebel world's forces are in position." On the bridge of Unity, Mary made final adjustments to their latest weapon, a device that could shut down Imperial technology across an entire planet. "Remember," she told the general, "we only need to demonstrate it once. After that, they'll know we could have destroyed them, but chose not to." The Empire's remaining loyal forces waited behind their planet's defense network, the strongest in the galaxy. Commander Jack stood on his bridge, knowing this would be their last stand. "We still outnumber them," he told his officers. "We can't lose to mere humans and slaves." But Earth's fleet didn't attack as expected. Instead, they'd broadcast a message across all frequencies, in all languages of the galaxy. General Peter's voice rang out clear and strong. "People of the Empire, we did not start this war. You came to our world, demanded our surrender, and thought us weak. Now we stand at your doorstep, not to destroy you, but to offer you a choice." In the Imperial Palace, the council members watched the transmission. Robert raged, but James and the younger members listened carefully. "Your empire is already falling," Peter continued. 50 worlds have freed themselves. 100 more are in rebellion. You can fight us and lose everything, or you can join us in building something new." Mary activated her device. Across the Empire's capital city, technology began shutting down. Defense shields flickered and died. Weapons went silent. But vital systems for civilian life remained untouched. "We could destroy you," Peter's voice continued. "But that's not humanity's way. We defend ourselves, yes. We fight when we must. But we prefer to build rather than destroy. To lift up rather than tear down." In orbit, Commander Jack watched in disbelief as his mighty fleet became useless. "How?" he whispered. "How are they still surprising us?" On 100 worlds, former slaves and Imperial citizens alike watched the broadcast. They saw humanity's power and humanity's mercy. "This is our offer," Peter announced. "Join us in forming a new alliance. Equal worlds, working together. Share knowledge instead of hoarding it. Help others rise instead of keeping them down. Your choice must be made now." In the council chamber, Robert made his last stand. "We cannot surrender to primitives," he shouted. But James stepped forward. "Look around you. Look what holding on to old ways has brought us. These primitives have shown more wisdom in defeat than we showed in victory." The vote was quick. Even the most conservative council members could see the truth. Fighting would mean total defeat. Acceptance would mean a new beginning. On Unity's bridge, Mary monitored the Empire's communications. "They're standing down," she reported. "All ships powering down weapons. The Council, they're accepting our terms." The cheers that erupted across Earth's fleet were echoed on 1,000 worlds. The war was over, not with destruction, but with hope. In the following days, delegations from Earth met with Empire representatives. Former slaves sat at the same table as their former masters. Plans were made not for conquest, but for cooperation. "You could have destroyed us," James told General Peter during the peace talks. "Why didn't you?" Peter smiled. "Because the strongest civilizations aren't built on fear and destruction. They're built on cooperation and mutual growth. That's the lesson we learned from our own history." Mary spent those days teaching Imperial engineers how humans had improved their technology. "The real power isn't in the machines," she explained. "It's in being willing to question everything, to always look for better ways." The Empire's great warships were transformed into exploration vessels and trading ships. The defense networks became communication arrays. The Empire's vast libraries of knowledge, once restricted to the elite, were open to all. Earth had done more than win a war. They had changed the very nature of galactic civilization. Not through conquest, but through something much more powerful: the human spirit of innovation, cooperation, and the wisdom to choose peace when victory was certain. As the new alliance took shape, a simple message was added to the Empire's ancient warning beacons: beware of humans, not for their weapons, but for their ability to turn enemies into friends. 5 years after the Great War, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. Where once stood an empire built on conquest and fear, now flourished an alliance of free worlds. The Imperial Palace, once a symbol of oppression, had become the Galaxy Alliance Council, where representatives from all species met as equals. Tom, the former junior analyst who had first warned about humans, now served as head of the Alliance's cultural exchange program. Standing before the new council, he couldn't help but smile at how right and wrong his warnings had been. "The human influence continues to amaze us," he reported to the assembled representatives. "Their approach to problem-solving has spread to every corner of the galaxy." Mary, now director of the Alliance Technology Institute, stood next to him. The institute had become a place where scientists from 1,000 worlds worked together, sharing discoveries and pushing the boundaries of what was possible. "We've made more technological progress in 5 years of cooperation than the Empire made in 5 centuries of competition," she announced proudly. "Last month alone, we registered over 10,000 new inventions from mixed species research teams." The changes were visible everywhere. Former Imperial warships, rebuilt with human innovations, now carried explorers and traders to the farthest reaches of space. Worlds that had once been slave colonies were now thriving centers of culture and innovation. General Peter, who had led humanity to victory, now served as a teacher at the Alliance Military Academy. His most popular class wasn't about warfare. It was about preventing wars through understanding and cooperation. "The greatest victory," he told his students from dozens of species, "isn't defeating an enemy. It's turning an enemy into a friend." That's what humanity taught the galaxy. James, the former Imperial Council member who had first understood the truth about humans, sat in his office reviewing reports. Each day brought news of another breakthrough, another step forward, another barrier broken. "Do you remember," he asked Tom during their regular lunch meeting, "when you first warned us about humans? You said they were dangerous. You were right, but not in the way we thought." Tom nodded. "They were dangerous to ignorance, to stagnation, to the idea that any species had to remain forever as they were. They showed us all how to be better. In Earth's orbit, The new Alliance headquarters sprouted like a silver tree against the stars. Ships from every known species came and went, carrying ideas and innovations across the galaxy. But perhaps the most important changes weren't in space, but in hearts and minds. Former Imperial citizens worked alongside former slaves, each learning from the other. Species that had once been enemies now collaborated on great projects. The Empire's rigid hierarchy had been replaced by something new, a civilization that valued growth, creativity, and cooperation. Mary's latest project demonstrated this perfectly. Her team, including members from 30 different species, had just created a new form of faster-than-light travel. It works because we all think differently, she explained at the unveiling. Each species saw a different piece of the puzzle. In the Great Hall of Records, where the Empire had once kept its secrets, a new wing opened. It told the story of the war that had changed everything. But it wasn't a story of battles and destruction. Instead, it was a story of transformation. The final exhibit showed a simple earth flower growing through concrete. Beside it, a plaque read, "Like this flower, humanity showed us that strength isn't about hardness or power. True strength lies in the ability to grow, to adapt, and to turn obstacles into opportunities." As the galaxy entered a new golden age of discovery and cooperation, the Empire became just another chapter in history. But its last warning remained, updated for new generations. If you value your empire, never provoke the humans. Not because they will destroy you, but because they will change you. They will show you a better way, and you will never be able to go back to what you were before. They are not conquerors of worlds, but transformers of hearts. Their greatest weapon isn't their technology or their adaptability. It's their ability to make others believe in the possibility of something better. In his academy classroom, General Peter loved to end his lectures with a simple truth. The Empire thought they were attacking a primitive world. Instead, they gave the galaxy its greatest gift, the human spirit of innovation, cooperation, and hope. Sometimes the best victories don't come from fighting at all, but from showing others a better path forward. And so the galaxy continued to grow and change, always moving forward, always seeking new horizons. The age of empires was over. The age of alliance and discovery had begun. And it all started because one species refused to submit and instead chose to show the galaxy a better way.